We have a massive Cowboys update as an NFL insider just dropped a game-changing report on the Dallas Cowboys. We'll let you know what that report is and what it means for the Cowboys moving forward, all today right here on the show. Welcome into Cowboys Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you hanging out with us here on this Wednesday. If you're looking for daily Cowboys content, we've got you covered. Go down there, hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free. Let's talk about the latest ESPN article because the Cowboys were featured in it a lot. The title, NFL Week 8 latest buzz, questions, news, and fantasy tips. Now, obviously, this is news from across the NFL. This is news talking about every single little detail. However, there was a very good amount about the Dallas Cowboys. And when they did speak of the Dallas Cowboys, they spoke of one man. That guy is George Pickens. Now, it's no secret that Pickens is having a career year, and on a contract season, it's exactly what he would want. But what do the Cowboys see? Is a future there? Is a contract extension coming? Well, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dove into that in the article, talked about what he has heard, talked about what he has seen, and kind of give us a synopsis of what he believes will happen with George Pickens and the Dallas Cowboys. Because honestly, since you have given him a true quarterback, since you have given him honestly a solid support system around him in Dallas, he has flourished into a NFL receiver that I believe the Steelers thought they drafted. And so, let's first look at George Pickens and kind of the stats he has shown this year. 7 games, 54 targets, 36 receptions with 6 touchdowns and 607 yards. Now, obviously, there is a good chunk of this that came without CeeDee Lamb on the field. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't had good games with CeeDee there, and I'd argue that making him the receiver that he was over those 4 weeks without Lamb and now having CeeDee Lamb back puts this team in an upper echelon in the offense already more than they were. I mean, they were legitimately the best offense in the league and then got back one of, if not the best wide receivers in the league and CeeDee Lamb. You add him with George Pickens, you add the chemistry between those two, and the Cowboys are at a point where they legitimately could go out and score 40 points a game, and it really wouldn't be a problem. So, what did ESPN say about it? What's the latest? Let's go to the report now from Jeremy Fowler. Quote, "The Cowboys have had internal discussions about a possible extension for receiver George Pickens, to the point where they've been examining the rosters and cap situations of teams like Cincinnati, Miami, and Philadelphia, who are all paying multiple high-end receivers." End quote. So this is all good news because we know the Cowboys, they want George Pickens. It seems as though Pickens would like to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. And so how can these two sides come to an agreement? Well, let's talk about CeeDee Lamb and kind of the contract he has and go from there. So when we take a look at CeeDee Lamb, he's getting paid $34 million per season already, or per year, whatever you want to call it. That is a big chunk of change. But if you remember in that report that we just showed you from Jeremy Fowler, the Cowboys are examining other teams that have 2 high-end wide receivers. And so I took it upon myself, and I wanted to look up what the contract values were for some of these guys. Now, the Bengals are the first one I looked to just because Jamar Chase is getting paid $40 million, and T. Higgins is also getting paid upwards of $25 million at 28. Now, what you'll notice with each of these 3 teams, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and Miami, is that the number 1, number 2 wide receivers are getting paid a large chunk of change. And when you go down to that number 3 wide receiver, $2 million is like the most they're getting paid. Like, it's not a lot of money, which makes sense. When you get 2 top-tier wide receivers, you have to kind of budget cut, let's say, on the rest of your wide receivers in your roster. So, obviously, this is a bigger chance because there's $6 million more on Jamar Chase, but something to note, the Cincinnati Bengals do not have an offensive line. They don't. And now the Cowboys, I believe, have sectioned out money a lot better and can afford to pay George Pickens without losing any key players on their offense or defense. And if they've lost players on their defense, maybe it wouldn't be a bad thing because they honestly haven't looked that good. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins now because they also have 2 top-tier wide receivers. And to me, Miami is the best looking route for the Cowboys to take, just because Tyreek Hill's making $30 million, just about $4 million less than CeeDee Lamb, and Jalen Waddle's making $28 million. In my mind, George Pickens is probably worth around the $30 million mark because of what he has done this season, and I think he would accept a $30 million payday. This is the closest I can look because the top two wide receivers on Miami, they're both paid to a similar amount. I mean, I know it's not the same. I know that you ask those two, it's different. And the last team I want to look at is, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. $32 million a year for A.J. Brown, $25 million a year for Devontae Smith. Philadelphia is the best case scenario in terms of the way that they set up the rest of their team. I think in a lot of ways, if you could get George to take 25, sure, but in my mind, I'm willing to give him $30 million a year. That's just ultimately what I look and see the value of him. And so for your curiosity to see what the Cowboys have right now, obviously CD 34, and then past that, Javonte Turpin's the next closest at $4.5 million. I like Jonathan Mingo, so like if you have to cut Turpin a payday a little bit, I mean, I think that's not a horrible thing, but there's ways you can kind of maneuver around this. So what else was said in the article? What else was said in the report? Let's kind of continue on with that and really look at what's going on. So Fowler had this to say, saying, quote, "The Cowboys have noticed that Pickens and Lamb have good chemistry as bookend receivers. And one person with the team compared Pickens to Dez Bryant." Now, the comparison was good and bad because when you read through the entire quote and the comparison, it was, this is a great wide receiver. This is a wide receiver we can trust on. This is a wide receiver we can depend upon to make great catches. He can catch 50-50 balls. He can do a lot of things that, you remember Dez Bryant doing. But then there was the bad side of it too, that's saying, he's got some off the field stuff. He's got some stuff that not exactly a typical prototypical NFL wide receiver will do, but it's manageable. And I think we've known that for the longest time. And Pickens had a lot more let's call them problems in Pittsburgh. And so far in Dallas, we have seen nothing of the sort. And so in my mind, is this something to be concerned about? Not really. I don't think this is everything he has shown since getting to Dallas is that he is in a lot better state with a top tier quarterback and getting the reps and being treated, I think, in the way he deserved to be treated. And the fact of the matter is, last year, he should have been the number one wide receiver. He should have. And instead, they decided that, we're just not going to throw him to that much. And I know they had a bad quarterback and all that stuff, but still, it just is proof to the point. One of the last things here on the report, and probably one of the bigger parts of it, is that Fowler says he doesn't think that anything is going to get done until after the season, but he does say that Dallas has been happy with Pickens since acquiring him in this offseason trade with Pittsburgh, end quote. So ultimately, I think if you round out the story, it's this. And I'll go to one final. I put this at the end of the show just because it's NFL rumors, and there's nothing down pat that says George Pickens wants to sign a long-term deal, but there are rumors floating around the NFL, so I wanted to include it. In my best knowledge here, George Pickens would like to stay. The Cowboys would like him to stay. Do I think that will happen this year in the season? No, probably not. It seems that all reports are leading to that this is not going to be something that will happen in season, but will happen in the offseason, maybe shortly after the end of the season. The good news is you've established a relationship. You've established that both sides like each other. Pickens and CD are great friends now. Jerry Jones knows the importance. Dak Prescott has talked to the importance of George Pickens and knows that if this team could just have a competent defense, forget good, competent, you would be able to go out there and win games every single week like he did versus Washington in this past Sunday. So the ability is there. The hope is there. But at the end of the day, it's really about the Cowboys, their expectations, and what their plan is moving forward for this Dallas Cowboys roster next year and the cap space that they currently have. And so, obviously, we all want George Pickens, and if you don't, let me know in the comment section why. But it's a time that we're excited, and hopefully the contract does get done. And if it does in the season, great. But don't expect one to happen. However, the conversations are being had, and that's a good part in its own right. We appreciate you watching. We hope you have a great Wednesday wherever you might be, and we'll talk to you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, guys.